Good evening, everybody. Welcome to We Believe Digital Studios and the Sizzling in Mississippi program. We're so glad to be back with you. Had a little hiatus there for about 3 weeks, and back on track for this new year, and got some good stuff to share with you tonight. And just a little what, our second show or third show into our second year.
Yes.
Right, Maati?
Yes, yeah.
And how are you doing?
Great. How are you, Chris?
I am doing good.
Yeah.
Survived
Despite
that.
the thunder?
So we are pouring rain out there.
Yes, it is.
But we had a little break there
We did.
over those holidays.
Yes.
Did
yes.
you enjoy your holidays?
I did. I did a lot with Kwanzaa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
And
think I saw you on the
Christmas.
news with Kwanzaa.
Oh, okay. Possibly.
Yeah.
I was part of the Kwanzaa ceremony at the Medgar Evers Center.
Yeah.
Yeah, right here in Jackson.
Yeah, I don't know if they spoke to you, but I think I saw you in the camera shot.
Oh, okay, sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
And I got to see that little grandson, and I at 3.5, I am really getting old because 30 minutes into a visit with him, and I'm ready for a nap. The little guy wear me out.
That's good.
But anyway, it's good to be back and doing the show. We're told the show will be trimmed down just a little bit. All the shows will be trimmed down a little bit so we can. We're having a good demand for new shows coming on the platform. So we'll be skinnying down the minutes a bit. And so, well, let's get right to it. Where do you want to go first, Maati? You want to go to the HP 1020, or you want to talk about Willie Jerome Manning?
Why don't we start with Willie Manning?
Willie Manning.
Yes.
And with your help, I was able to email with
It's defense attorney.
the defense attorney,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
there it is. I thought I lost it there for a minute. But Willie Jerome Manning. For those that don't know, his defense attorney, Chrissy Nobile, the director of the Mississippi Office of Capital Post-Conviction Counsel, provided a statement as to what's going on with the case, and it's not that long, so I'll just go through it. But Willie Manning has been wrongfully convicted and sentenced to death for 2 separate double murders. He's already been exonerated for the killing of 2 elderly women in Starkville, Mississippi. The Mississippi Supreme Court found that the state had suppressed evidence that its star witness lied to gain benefits. He continues to challenge his other double murder conviction, which involved the killing of 2 students at Mississippi State University. According to the state, he was caught breaking into a car on campus, gathered up what he'd taken from the car, then supposedly forced these 2 people, John Steckler and Tiffany Miller, into her car, which had no back seat, and directed them to drive to a remote area, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So much of this is coming out as being law enforcement had no eyewitnesses and no trace evidence, such as fingerprints, DNA, or fibers that could be linked to any suspect. As in Manning's second case, law enforcement brought pressure on desperate witnesses who agreed to testify against Manning. One was a jailhouse. Earl Jordan testified that Manning had confessed to him while in jail. But then he's recanted on that,
Right.
saying that they had provided, him some inducements in order to do that. A former girlfriend, Mr. Manning's former girlfriend, Paula Hawthorne, had multiple charges for writing bad checks pending against her. Those charges went away after she cooperated and received $17,500 in reward money. She also agreed to have her phone calls with Manning recorded. During those calls, she made statements inconsistent with her trial testimony. Recordings were never disclosed to Manning's trial attorneys. Just like the Beverly Hillbillies, the prosecutors. The murder weapon was never found. An expert testified that bullets found in a tree in Manning's yard were fired from the same gun used to kill the students, to the exclusion of every other gun in the world. Forensic scientists now know that such comparisons are invalid. So the FBI's weighed in, now recognizes conclusions about race from hair samples are scientifically invalid. He sought to have the hair sent to a lab specializing in developing DNA profiles from small and degraded samples, but the Mississippi courts would not permit that. Now, he's 55 years old and spent 50%? You've been there?
Yes. Yeah, since the 1990s.
Yeah. And he's filed another petition with the Mississippi Supreme Court to challenge his convictions on the second case, but if it's turned down, it will set an execution date. And the Attorney General has asked that an execution date be set.
Yes.
The court pushed back
Right.
against the Attorney General and to give them, and I believe it's 10 days from now, I want to say it's January 17th or 18th, they have to address any other outstanding issues that are going on, motions that he's made, and
Right.
give a chance for that process to work.
Right.
So he has to have his filings in or something within
That amount of time.
by that time.
Well, this is a case that's always been troubling because in the first case where there was a elderly woman and her daughter, they refused to test the evidence. They wouldn't test the fingerprints. They wouldn't test anything for DNA samplings, anything. They refused to do that. And this is a death penalty case. This is capital murder. And so with that, I would think that the state of Mississippi would be so motivated not to make sure that they had the right person, to make sure that they were not killing the wrong person, an innocent person.
So you're saying, especially in a death penalty case.
Right. There should be extraordinary efforts to make sure that they have the culprit, the correct culprit. But this did not happen in the first case, and what it took was a campaign to save Willie Manning's life and to demand a stay of execution. That demand started 7 days before his execution date.
And you were in on that, right?
Right.
You were part of that team?
We were part of it, and it was a very small team, but we were able to get a stay of execution in 7 days. And thank God that we were, because we were simply asking the state to prove its case. And that led to a 2-year process of exonerating him, because once everything was taken into account, the evidence was examined, they had to exonerate Willie Manning.
And what about how do you be an attorney that, these people take oaths. And to misrepresent things or isn't that a fraud, some type of fraud that they could lose their license or something?
It doesn't happen that way. They go unpunished. But I see it as a miscarriage of justice.
Yes. Yeah, and so now we wait for the filings to be completed, and it is possible. I got the impression from the email response I got from Miss Nobile that she was just out straight tonight doing work on this case,
right.
But she may be open to coming on the program in the future, so that'd be nice.
It would be.
And her co-counsel, whose name I've managed to forget, but it'd be nice to have them and come and speak to the audience.
Yeah.
With more particulars.
Yeah, I think that's David Voisin, but
yeah.
Okay, but yeah, we do want to hear from them, because every time I hear anything about Willie Manning in the news media, they talk about the mother of one of the murder victims, but she hasn't been made, I believe, aware of the circumstances of this case, in that Willie Manning has not been tried correctly. He was wrongfully convicted.
Well, she got to read the. I mean, she got to
Right.
read the news. It's been published.
It's published, right, but I don't believe that she has really researched it. I think that the conclusions were made in the beginning, and I can understand that she is grieving, of course, for her child, and that's important to take into account. But I think what's more important is that we give her the right
Yes.
person,
Sure.
right? That the assailant, the murderer is tried.
Yeah.
Yeah. We can't just pick just anybody. We have to make sure that we have the right person. Yeah.
The idea that we're having this discussion is just ludicrous,
It is.
and it just speaks to some sort of foundational wrongheadedness.
Yeah.
You got this segregationist academy trained attorney general. She knows all this stuff.
Right.
She knows all the truth about it,
Right.
but she's still trying to push it through.
Yeah. This is a horrible thing. This is where Mississippi gets its reputation. Cases like this.
Yeah, well, we've got several of them on the list
Yes.
tonight, Maati, and this. So it's okay to move on from this now,
Absolutely, yeah.
and I think we're going to be following up with you, and hopefully with Attorney Nobile can join us and even give a fuller picture of all this. And also recently, just 4 days ago, the stay was lifted by the Fifth Circuit Court on the implementation of the new CCID court under the heading of, the HB 1020. We've talked to you about it zillions of times. This is white state lawmakers just deciding that they're going to create a new court system in Mississippi.
Outside of where they are, their jurisdiction. I mean, they represent the state, but these are men who live in suburban Memphis.
Yeah.
Yeah, they just happen to be just across the state, Tennessee, Mississippi line. Trey Lamar.
And his white only law firm.
Right.
From what it looks like on the webpage, anyway.
Right. It does look like that. It probably is.
Maybe there's a whole fleet of black attorneys and paralegals that they just didn't put their picture on the webpage.
Maybe they didn't show up for the photo day. But as it occurs now, even if they did have a number of black people working for them, the problem is Jackson is not their area. And I would like to see them stick to the issues and bring forth the issues that affect their area, places like Horn Lake and Senatobia. I'm sure that they have enough things going on there and enough challenges that can be addressed, as opposed to saying what they think Jackson should have.
I view this whole thing like a Trojan horse.
Right.
It's marched its way into Jackson. They're doing what they want, despite or in spite of, however you want to say it, of there being leadership in Hinds County and Jackson that's black leadership.
Right.
And they don't abide by that. And so they're gonna do this way. They roll this court system in. They expand the CCID district. You have a green light for Mike Randolph, the storied chief judge of the Mississippi Supreme Court, is going to make an appointment for a judge, and then Lynn Fitch, segregationist academy trained Lynn Fitch, is going to get to appoint the prosecutors. Now, what's that going to look like? And the thing that I find so shocking from the Fifth Circuit, and really from Judge Wingate first, is they're they're using these words, Maati. Nothing has been taken away from Jackson's local governing authority. That's what the Fifth Circuit wrote in its order, noting that the argument was not based in fact. The NAACP argument, where they never let the Department of Justice join. It paves the way for white and Republican officials to make appointments in a predominantly black and Democratic city. But that doesn't, but they write nothing is being taken away. Are you totally ignoring the racial demographics of this city, its people, its voters, its residents? You must be totally ignoring that,
Right.
in order to make a statement like that.
Right, they are. They're also ignoring the idea of democracy.
Yeah, why is it okay in every other court in the state? Why is it that those judges are elected by the people, but they decide they need a different type court here in Jackson with appointed?
Right.
And they tried to do it deeper. They tried to let him. So on top of this here, they tried to let in the initial statute, they tried to let the Chief Justice of the Mississippi Supreme Court appoint 4 additional judges to help in Hinds County.
Yes.
And they said that was unconstitutional. Right. But this isn't unconstitutional.
Right. Right. How? How do we get to this point?
Yeah, and of course, in all tied up in this is also, the not only the implementation but the vast expansion of the Capitol Police Force. And now, connected with this legislation, they have jurisdiction in the entire city of Jackson.
Right.
And the wording is that they are going to allow, they're supposed to work it out with the Jackson police chief of, who's going to take the lead on this, who's going to take the lead. Yeah. You tell me.
Yeah. But Jackson Police Department is subordinate to the CCID.
Well, because it's a state entity.
Right.
But Jackson Police Department is responsible to the citizens. The mayor, citizens elect the mayor.
Right.
The mayor hires the chief.
Right. Yeah.
So.
Right. And the police, Jackson Police, receive lower wages.
Yeah, they've tried to do something on that, but I don't think they're equal. I don't. Yeah. I'd love to get some data on that.
But yet, and still, even if you had equal pay, you have a problem with subordination of power.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Yeah, when those guys walk around, when that Capitol Police Chief Bo Lucky, he walks around with the full weight of the governor's support.
Yes.
And so of course the Jackson Police Chief going to end up
in second place,
giving it, acquiescing.
Yeah, has to. Yeah, he has to.
And it's just and the other thing too, I would love to, if I had some money, Maati, I would, because they're going to charge you money. If I had some money, I would pay to get the fuel bills that Capitol Police pay, like say pick a quarter of last year, like the fourth quarter last year. Show me how much money you spent on fuel for your vehicles versus how much the entire Jackson Police Department spent on fuel.
Right.
I'd love to see that because these guys travel in packs.
Right, they do.
You never see one of the Capitol Police. They see minimum of 2, many times 3 at a time when they're going somewhere.
Right.
And is that something you need to be doing when you are serving the people, when you are protecting and serving? Right. When you are, is there no such thing as community? Are you policing the community? Are you using community policing approaches? Are you getting out of the car and shaking hands and letting people know who you are and getting to know the people that you're serving? I don't see that going on.
No, I don't see it at all.
When I see a Jackson cop walk into the what do you call it thing at the Shell station, when I go in there for a Coke or something.
Sure, into the store area.
Everybody say, "Hey, how's it going? What's going?" Yeah, what? Everybody's talking back and forth, and it's not like that with the Capitol Police. It's not like that.
Yeah.
It's not like that. So I don't know. To me, this is just terrifying. The NAACP is not giving up. I think they're going to find a way to maybe use the way this all transpired in the interplay with the Fifth Circuit
Right.
to get the Department of Justice involved, because Eric Holder, on behalf of DOJ, has submitted briefings, but was never actually enjoined in the case.
Okay.
What up with that?
It's just another Mississippi moment. And so the Fifth Circuit Court is the Fifth Circuit Court of Louisiana.
Mississippi, Texas, and Louisiana, Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals.
Yeah.
Many people say the most conservative court in the country. Some people say maybe the second most conservative court in the country.
But I mean, think about the 3 states.
I was told
Okay.
months ago this is what was going to happen, and
Yeah.
this is what happened.
Yeah.
You know?
And I don't think the plaintiffs are surprised at all about the outcome.
No.
The terrible outcomes that they're facing now.
We heard the beeper go off, so we've run out of time on the first segment. Dip out for a couple of commercials. We'll be right back with you.
The Mississippi Link is an African-American female-owned newspaper with a trusted voice that is highly respected throughout the city, state, and nation. Our motto, keepers of the knowledge for people who speak the truth, since 1993. Link significantly influences the thoughts, attitudes, and buying decisions of its readers. Call us at 601-368-8481 for your advertising needs. If you would like to receive a newspaper in the mail each week, our annual subscription is only $52 per year. That is only $1 per week for you to stay informed regarding many stories that you can only get in the Mississippi Link. Sign up today at themississippilink.com and click on Home Delivery.
Are you dreaming of becoming an entrepreneur, but you're not sure where or how to start? At Entrepreneurs Academy 101, our online program will guide you step by step on how to start and grow your own business. We offer courses such as how to write a business plan, how to create a budget, and so much more. Our online training program is designed for you to learn at your own pace, and there's no set order to complete this program. Because our academy is online, you have the choice to learn with a group, with friends, or individually. Upon completion of the entire curriculum, you will receive a certificate of achievement to acknowledge that you have completed the training needed to become a successful entrepreneur. So enroll today to design the life that you love. Contact your entrepreneur coach, Brenda Myers, at 601-672-0695 or visit our website at www.entrepreneursacademy101.com for more information.
Welcome back, everybody, to Sizzling in Mississippi. Chris Young and Maati Joan Primm, just kind of sharing these stories with you, things that are going on in this state that, this state that is a truly beautiful state, but is last in everything. And my goodness, and why is that? And we've been talking about it. We've been talking about the very things that make us last in everything, the decision making, the thought processes, the backwardness of very people that wield a lot of power.
Right.
And imagine a guy like that attorney Trey Lamar that wrote that 1020 legislation,
right,
saying that I don't have a racist bone in my body, he says. And Mayor Lumumba was over there in the chambers when they were devoting.
What about the hood you left in your trunk?
He said the only thing missing was the hoods.
Right.
Jeez. So.
Unbelievable.
Well, Ben Crump was down here this weekend, I heard.
Yes, once again. I think he should just buy a home and settle in because he's here so often.
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, looking at this terrible and remarkable situation we have of 215 persons being buried in paupers' graves or near or right outside of the jail in Raymond,
Right.
the plantation
Without
penal jail.
without
farm.
the penal and without notifying their families.
Right.
How can that be?
Right. And just buried with the number, becoming a number and being absolutely meaningless to the state. See, the lack of value that Mississippi puts on human lives is atrocious. And this isn't just black people. This is white people too, and others. And it's extraordinarily cruel to anyone who has a missing loved one and not knowing what became of them, and to find out later that the state took their bodies and buried them. And we know from Dexter Wade that he had identification on him.
Yeah.
So how many of the 215 could the state actually identify, but refused to even try, just put them in a hole and bury them? It's unbelievable.
And I saw something, I'm not positive which article I saw it in, Maati, but they talked to this one lady who she had to pay $250 to get the body out, to get the body exhumed.
Yeah.
Once she did find out that
Right.
her child was
Right.
number whatever,
Yeah.
she had to pay money
Yeah.
to get the body turned over to her.
Yeah. You know what that reminds me of?
Tell me.
Emmett Till's mother,
Yeah.
Mrs. Mamie Till,
Yeah.
had to pay for her son to be. They were going
Transported.
to be transported
Yeah.
back to
Train,
Chicago,
yeah.
and they were going to bury him here in Mississippi by order of the sheriff,
Yeah.
without notifying his mother.
And that took, wasn't that a federal override?
It was
Was that a Bobby?
it was a number of politicians in Chicago
Mm.
that were very powerful. People like William Dawson,
Mm-hmm.
and who was a very powerful congressman, the mayor of Chicago at the time,
Mm-hmm.
Richard Daley, a number of black officials, political people, and union people had to come together to enable Emmett's body to be transported back to Chicago. And it wasn't easy. And then when his body got back to Chicago, it was in a box with a Mississippi seal that was not to be broken. And Emmett Till's mother said, break it. And here we are, fast forwarding 70 years later with the same problem.
And Crump's demanding a full-scale inquiry
Yes.
into to every last family to get addressed as much information as possible, and to create opportunities for real burials to take place
Yes.
with dignity and respect.
Right.
And so he's calling for an inquiry at the it must be at the federal level.
It always
It
is.
isn't gonna-
Right. It would just be a waste of time to do anything
Yeah.
in the state of Mississippi. Yeah, they always have to go federal.
Yeah.
Yeah, it always has to become a federal case. It's unbelievable that this is continuing to happen, and it seems to be something that is of a normal order here in Mississippi.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And our one of our local pastors was alongside
Right.
Crump over the weekend.
Right. Reverend Hosea Hines of Christ Tabernacle Church in South Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, 215
Deceased persons.
215 numbers.
Yeah.
I wonder how many lives were impacted by those 215 people.
Countless. Yeah. I mean, it's countless because even if you don't know any of those people, the fact that living here in Mississippi presents you with this terrible opportunity to be 216.
Right. Right.
And to know that humanity isn't respected. How did we get to be so Christian and so cruel at the same time?
So Christian and so cruel.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know about all this Christian stuff. It seemed like a lot of hypocrisy to me.
See, no.
I was-
Christian in name only.
I was reading this lengthy article by the investigative reporter Jerry Mitchell
Okay.
about this Brian Bailey,
Yes.
Sheriff Brian Bailey, Rankin County, of which the Goon Squad fell under, and somehow I just tie these two stories together, you know. But you know, he apparently he learned at the knee of Simpson County Sheriff Lloyd Goon Jones.
Yeah.
And I remember when we first started talking about things in Rankin County, you brought up that sheriff's name,
Right.
and that's who that's who this guy Bailey learned from.
Yes.
He totally denies that he knew anything about that they had a shift, an after-hours shift. The article is very comprehensive, all kinds of things over the last 20 or more years that have gone on, and killings and men that are drawing pay from the county
Yes.
that don't have any problem with roughing somebody up, is what the article put.
Yes.
Known to not have any problem about it, would never speak out about it or anything like that.
Right.
You know, trusted mobsters,
Right.
faithful. I meant to say faithful deviant mobsters. You know, and yeah, great story. If you get a chance, I read it in the Mississippi Today online newspaper by Jerry Mitchell on January 3rd, I think it came out, about how this Rankin County Sheriff Brian Bailey grew up. I think he had a post. They had a Facebook post or something, not too many years ago. Maybe it was marking the anniversary of Jones' death, which, by the
Yes.
way, he was murdered.
Right. He was. Right.
And he said how much he loved that man, and he was doing everything in his practice today as sheriff that he had learned from Sheriff Jones.
Terrifying. Isn't
Talk
it?
about and just terrorizing black people for decades upon decades,
Right.
and how that like links in a chain of terror, the
Right.
generations, you
Sure.
know.
Sure.
And now I guess we're coming up on. I don't have it in front of me, but it's not. I believe it's I want to say the 23rd, 24th of this month is supposed to be the sentencing for the Goon Squad,
Right.
spread out over 2 days.
Yes. Yes. If they have it then and they don't delay it any longer,
Yeah,
then it should be this month that the Goon Squad will be sentenced.
right. And
But we faced delays since November of 2023 on the sentencing matter.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah. And another. I keep confusing that. Another story we wanted to share with you has to do with the taxpayer money being used to fund private schools and these private school vouchers in Mississippi. You got private schools, you got charter schools, you got vouchers. The names all kind of mingle together.
Okay.
But it was back in October 2022 when Hinds County Chancery Court Judge Crystal Wise Martin said it was unconstitutional
Right.
to give taxpayers money to
To fund the private schools.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, of course, our segregationist academy trained Attorney General Lynn Fitch,
Right.
Appealing Wise's ruling, and the lawsuit was filed by the ACLU, Democracy Forward, Mississippi Center for Justice, on behalf of parents of public schools, a Jackson-based nonprofit, and the legislature was going to give $10 million in federal funds to private schools.
Right. You know when these private schools were founded.
Oh, yeah.
The majority of them popped up all at once, which was about 1970 when the public schools here were desegregated.
Yeah.
And they popped up overnight, and they were funded overnight with public funds.
As a school up in, let's say, Tri-County or something, up in Flora,
Okay.
where a friend of mine we were driving through there, and she was telling me, that's the school they built for the white kids once the law came down.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it took them a while to do it, but they did it. Now, I said, "What do you hear now?" She doesn't live in that area, and she lived down here now. But she said, as best she's heard, it's just totally mixed now.
Yeah. Well, some of them are, some aren't. Yeah, depending on how deep you go. Right. Some of them are integrated because they have sports teams and such that they want to win. So
Right.
they provide athletic scholarships.
Got to
to
have
a few.
sports in Mississippi.
Right. Yeah.
You never mind justice. Never
Right.
mind equality.
Right.
Never mind equity.
Yeah.
Never mind fair treatment of all people
But you
under
gotta
God.
Win. Right. But you got to win in sports.
You got to win. Okay.
That's it. Yeah.
This lawsuit pointed out that Section 208 of the Mississippi Constitution states that public funds could not be given to a school not conducted as a free school.
Yeah.
And I can just see how these justices are going to, I can't wait to see the dissent, but I can just see how they're going to, apparently there's some lawmakers, which I was shocked to read, I forget what the source was, that they're interested in they're interested in this changing, where in other words they want to rewrite the Constitution, but they don't want to, because as soon as they do that, all the other issues are going to start piling. Right, you did it for this, right? It's that kind of hurting.
Yeah. But, the old Constitution's was drafted in 1890?
1890.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. And people think that enslavement ended at the end of the Civil War in 1865.
Right.
But it was going on still strong in 1890. And in fact, we still have pockets today of people on plantations that are forced there and cannot leave.
I wonder if Claudine Gay felt like she was on a plantation last week.
Oh, my goodness. Well, or maybe just being made for target practice. That it was just inevitable that she was going to have to resign.
I think I titled my story for the Mississippi Link, "The Takedown of Dr. Claudine Gay."
Right. Yeah, from Harvard. Had been there, 6 months as president?
Do you think Harvard, Maati, do you suppose that Harvard recruits people from Stanford without being crystal clear on their credentials and their thesis work?
Right. Come on. Yeah.
Takedown.
Yes, that's it.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah. And all three of the women presidents, so they've got 2 down and 1 to go, as they say.
But she's the only black one, though.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they said hundreds of people wrote letters of support, faculty and all.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter.
But over time, and then they found out that this one guy, Ackerman or whatever, he's got a buddy on the Harvard Foundation board.
Yeah.
And now they found out that his wife has there's some plagiarism concerns about his own wife.
There's always plagiarism concerns when it comes to dissertations because you're using information from all different sources and you're pulling them in. And sometimes they feel that the bibliography isn't complete or the footnotes are inaccurate. And if so, if you reach a conclusion based on these, they can call that plagiarism if they so choose.
One article actually mentioned something with punctuation.
Yeah. It's incredible. Yeah. I mean, and that's been told of a lot of people.
Right.
Martin Luther King's dissertation has accusations of plagiarism, so it runs the gamut.
So we'll see how this goes. This is going to be heard by the Mississippi Supreme Court fairly soon. I want to say February 6th. There's quite a few things coming up that so we'll have to get back to you on that. And I think we got just a few minutes left. Is there anything else that you had? I've got one other thought here, but was there anything else that you had in mind you wanted to?
Go ahead. I'd like to hear from you.
Okay, well, this is that thing I mentioned about the, we have this overturning of Roe v. Wade. The case originated in Mississippi by our former failed healthcare director, Thomas Dobbs. And I say failed because he gave in to the political pressure, and we had ungodly numbers of people die in Mississippi because of this anti-vax stuff going on, and then monoclonal antibodies, and whatever Fauci says, don't do that, and giving exemptions. In the meantime, we had the highest per capita deaths in the country.
We did, yes.
And he presided over that.
Yes.
So he didn't stand up there at the governor's desk and say, no, this is totally contraindicated. This is what a healthy state does.
Right.
He didn't do that. He acquiesced.
Yeah.
And that's why I call him a failed former health director.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, he's got a nice little appointment over at UMMC now.
Right.
Head of a public policy division over there. But anyway, this story comes to the fact that Mississippi really didn't see a birth spike from the abortions ban this last year. But they did see a rise in unwanted pregnancies. And going into all this, right after the ban, the health department told the legislature that they expected 5,000 more births in Mississippi in the coming year after Roe got knocked down. That's not what happened. And lo and behold, people are leaving the state to get abortions. There's also a lot of stuff going on with mail order medications to terminate the pregnancies. Right. There was some statistical data in this article, which was from Mississippi Today. Sophia Palinroth, and this was today, came out this morning, January 8th, about depending on how far you have to travel, that's going to depend on the increases that you see going on. So in Texas, that's the place where you have to travel the furthest, apparently, to get abortion care. And in that case, they saw a 5.1% increase in births. Now, at the beginning of the article, they say there was doesn't see a spike in births in Mississippi, but here, Mississippi is in second place, driving distance from the Mississippi line, Mississippi-Tennessee line to Carbondale, Illinois,
yes, to
a place called the Alamo Women's Clinic, is 240 miles. And Mississippi saw a 4.4% increase in births, but not a massive spike like they were expecting. Okay. We also found out from this article, Maati, that in 2020, perhaps where they got this number that they were guessing, 5,000 more births after Roe.
Yes.
in 2020, the number of Mississippi resident abortions in and out of the state was 5,760.
Okay.
So that's probably where they got that. The health department was saying we're going to have all these births. We don't have the infrastructure to handle it. We got healthcare problems to start with, but those numbers were off.
Okay.
And also as we start to run out of time here, this clinic in Illinois, the Alamo Women's Clinic in Southern Illinois, Carbondale, Illinois, gets 12% of their abortion care business from Mississippi residents. 12%, more, 6 times more than Illinois patients.
Wow.
So interesting how folks think that things are going to turn out, but it doesn't always turn out that way. It's so interesting that so many people that don't understand the issues have so much power in these issues.
Yeah.
So, like Brett Kavanaugh, for example, comes to mind.
Brett Favre?
And Brett. Yeah. Well, I guess that's about it, Maati. Did you have any closing thoughts?
No, that's about it. That's the news for today.
That's quite a load, and we thank you so much for tuning in. We'll be back with you next Monday night at 6:30. Take good care of yourselves and each other. See you then.